As part of its Renault Drive the Change strategic plan, Renault promised to cut its average carbon footprint by 3% per year. This was a world first in the automotive industry. The carbon footprint corresponds to the total emissions of greenhouse gases responsible for global warming. Renault has already reached its goal. Between 2010 and 2014, the company avoided consuming 10.1 million tonnes of CO2, equivalent to a year of emissions by a European city of 900,000 people. For a company, the carbon footprint depends on its business. For a product, the carbon footprint is measured over the whole of its life cycle, from the extraction of the raw materials needed to manufacture it up to the time it is recycled. For Renault, it may be broken down as follows. 4% comes from plants, logistics, recycling, and the services side of the company's business. The 11% is the result of using raw materials to manufacture vehicles and organising end-of-life recycling. And 85% is the result of customers driving vehicles. Which means that 96% of the CO2 is emitted during a vehicle's life cycle, from production to recycling. To reduce its carbon footprint, the company took several measures. The first and most important was cutting the CO2 emissions of its vehicles. This was done by developing innovative technologies, engines that consume less fuel, a range of efficient electric vehicles, onboard driving aids, and offering training in eco-driving. Next, relying less on raw materials and increasing the proportion of recycled plastics used to produce vehicles. Meanwhile, plants that were more environment-friendly had to be built. The Tangiers plant in Morocco uses electricity from renewable sources for most of its energy needs. Logistics also has a part to play. To transport raw materials to the plants and the vehicles away from them, the company uses boats, barges and trains whenever possible and optimises loading rates, which has saved 100,000 trucks from being on the roads in Europe over 4 years. Finally, we should not forget the part played by the men and women who work for Renault. Keeping travel to a minimum by using the latest computer and communications technologies, encouraging teleworking, and using public transport for commuting are all effective ways to cut the group's carbon footprint. Renault will continue to cut its carbon footprint and is committed to maintain this 3% yearly reduction trend until 2016.